Today we'll be looking at the amendment process. So basically, the process in which amendments are proposed and how they can be ratified to our Constitution. So these are notes 1.7, and these will be the last notes for Unit 1. Setting the stage. Thomas Jefferson believed that the Constitution was a living document that should be changed. However, changing it should not be very easy. But the Constitution should be able to grow with generations, adapt, be adjusted for the changing beliefs of the people. Madison believed the Constitution grew in authority the longer it went unchanged. He believed changing the documents could create bitter factions. The relatively few changes show the document's wisdom. It was not perfect, so the amendment process was necessary because things needed to be changed, like slavery, adding voting rights for women, for people that were not initially included, and so those types of things needed to be changed or amended. The amendment process. So, an amendment is a formal change to the Constitution. So, when we realize, oh, we forgot to add this law, or we now need to change something that we hadn't previously thought of, the amendment process allows for that. So, it allows the Constitution to grow and adapt with the country. So, the process is intentionally difficult. It prevents momentary passions and prejudice of the majority from taking the rights of the minority. And the process is listed in Article 5 of the Constitution. So amendments must be proposed and then ratified, meaning approved. There are two methods of proposing and two methods of ratifying, for a total of 4 total methods. Each step requires a supermajority to pass. And so basically, amendments can be proposed by Congress with a 2/3 vote in each house, so the House of Representatives and the Senate, or they can be called by Congress. A national convention can be called by Congress at the request of 2/3 of the state legislature. So that's how they're proposed, either by Congress or a national convention. Then the process of ratification has to happen through 3/4 of the state legislatures or 3/4 of conventions of the state. So you need basically 75% approval for the amendment to go into effect. So proposing an amendment. Congress can propose an amendment with the approval of 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate. Every amendment that has passed has been done by this method. Delegates at a national convention called by Congress when requested by a 2/3 of the state legislature. So for the proposing of an amendment needs to have 2/3, which is about 67%. So you still need, it's not just a simple majority. A simple majority is more than 50%. Once an amendment has been proposed, it needs to be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or by conventions in 3/4 of the states. So 75%. So again, just re-emphasizing the process of proposal. 2/3 needed to propose by either Congress or state conventions called by Congress, then ratification. Then it goes for approval by the states or by conventions of the state, needing 3/4 vote, 75%. Ratifying an amendment. Once an amendment has been proposed, it needs to be approved or ratified. The amendment is sent to the states for approval or ratification. There are 2 methods for ratification, and Congress chooses the method. It could either 1, the proposed amendment is voted by state legislatures, 3/4 needed for approval, or citizens can elect delegates to conventions called in each state and requires approval by conventions in at least 3/4 of the state. The amendments. Only 33 amendments have been passed by Congress for proposal, and 27 have been ratified. So we've officially had 27 amendments or changes to the Constitution. The first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights, and those were passed almost immediately after our Constitution. They were created to establish protections on individual liberties of the people, and they're always meant to be part of the Constitution. 12 amendments were proposed, and 10 were ratified for the Bill of Rights. So many other amendments were passed in a time of crisis. So the Reconstruction Amendments are Amendments 13, 14, and 15, and they were passed immediately following the Civil War. Because the Civil War was such a great event within our history, we realized that certain changes had to be made right afterwards. So with the 13th Amendment, slavery gets abolished. The 14th Amendment grants citizenship to anyone born in the United States, in the borders of the United States. And the 15th Amendment granted voting rights to African American males. So the 18th and the 21st Amendment deal with prohibition. The 19th Amendment gives women the right to vote. The 22nd Amendment created presidential term limits following the presidency of Franklin Roosevelt, and the 24th Amendment banned the poll tax during the Civil Rights Movement. So these are just a few notable amendments. We will deal with a later amendment where we will deal with it with a later unit focusing just on amendments in more detail. And so these are the end of the notes. You want to make sure to go back and fill out your key terms.